The idea of progress in forensic authorship analysis. Elements in forensic linguistics. This element examines progress in research and practice in forensic authorship analysis. It describes the existing research base and asks what makes an authorship analysis more or less reliable. Further to this, the author describes the recent history of forensic science and the scientific revolution brought about by the invention of DNA evidence. They chart the rise of three major changes in forensic science: the recognition of contextual bias in analysts, the need for validation studies, and a shift in the logic of providing identification evidence. This element addresses the idea of progress in forensic authorship analysis in terms of these three issues with regard to new knowledge about the nature of authorship and methods in stylistics and stylometry. The author proposes that the focus needs to shift to validation of protocols for approaching case questions, rather than to validation of systems or general approaches. This title is also available as open access on Cambridge Core. Professor Tim Grant is primarily known as a leading figure in the field of forensic linguistics, where he uses the analysis of language to improve the delivery of justice. As a professor of forensic linguistics and former director of the Aston Institute for Forensic Linguistics at Aston University, he is one of the world's most experienced forensic linguistic practitioners. His work is broad and impactful, specializing in forensic authorship analysis of short-form messages like texts and online posts and the analysis of abusive and threatening communications. He has provided expert evidence for both prosecution and defense in numerous high-profile criminal trials involving terrorism, murder, sexual assault, copyright disputes, and civil cases, often focusing on issues like identifying authors based on linguistic style, decoding slang, and analyzing police interviews. Professor Grant's research and casework have been critical in developing the discipline and its application in modern law enforcement and legal proceedings. Professor Tim Grant's early professional life and foundational education are marked by his academic pursuits leading directly into the specialized field of forensic linguistics. He holds a BA in philosophy and an MSc in cognitive science. His academic specialization culminated in a PhD in linguistics around 2003, with his dissertation focusing on authorship attribution in a forensic context. He began his work as an academic practitioner by being employed at the forensic section of the School of Psychology at the University of Leicester before he joined Aston University in 2007, where he would go on to develop the Center for Forensic Linguistics. 1996 Overview and Conclusions, i.e. Colloquium on Intelligent Planning and Scheduling Solutions, Digest No. 1996 117. 1997 Basil Sidney Grant BMJ, British Medical Journal. 2001, Identifying Reliable, Valid Markers of Authorship, a Response to Haskell Forensic Linguistics, The International Journal of Speech Language and the Law. 2002 Review of Author Unknown, On the Trail of Anonymous by Donald Foster, The International Journal of Speech, Language and the Law. Author Unknown, On the Trail of Anonymous Forensic Linguistics, The International Journal of Speech Language and the Law. 2003 Types of Task, Types of Audience, Types of Actor, Interactions between Mere Presence and Personality Type in a Simple Mathematical Task, Personality and Individual Differences. Review of Forensic Linguistics, Advances in Forensic Stylistics by G. McMenamin, The International Journal of Speech, Language and the Law. 2004 Investigating Differences in Reported Rapist Speech Between Maintained as True and False Allegations, Unpublished Manuscript, School of Psychology, University of Birmingham. Conference on Forensic Linguistics, Language and Law 2004 4th to 5th July, 2004 Conference on Forensic Linguistics, Language and Law. 2005 Is gender a factor in perceived prison officer competence? Male prisoners' perceptions in an English dispersal prison criminal behavior and mental health. Authorship attribution in a forensic context doctoral dissertation, the University of Birmingham. 2006 Developing a categorization system for rapists speech psychology, crime and law. Identifying the origins of evidential texts witness testimony, psychological, investigative, and evidential perspectives. 2007 The course and nature of stalking, a victim perspective psychology, crime and law. Quantifying evidence in forensic authorship analysis the International Journal of Speech, Language, and the Law. From marine ecology to crime analysis, improving the detection of serial sexual offenses using a taxonomic similarity measure Journal of Investigative Psychology and Offender Profiling. Understanding the factors that affect the severity of juvenile stranger sex offenses, the effect of victim characteristics and number of suspects Journal of Interpersonal Violence. Triangulation mobility of auto theft offenders Journal of Investigative Psychology and Offender Profiling. Rape as social activity, an application of investigative linguistics the language of sexual crime. Rape as social interaction, an application of investigative linguistics the language of sexual crime. Forensic linguistics for forensic psychologists, a brief introduction forensic update. 2008 To link or not to link, a test of the case linkage principles using serial car theft data Journal of Investigative Psychology and Offender Profiling. Approaching questions in forensic authorship analysis dimensions of forensic linguistics. Rape myth in true and false rape allegations psychology, crime and law. 2009 The effects of substance use on offender crime scene behavior Journal of Forensic Sciences. Criminal Psychology, a Beginner's Guide One World Publications. 2010 The Question of Question Types in Police Interviews, a review of the literature from a psychological and linguistic perspective the International Journal of Speech, Language, and the Law. Comparing sentence-level features for authorship analysis in Portuguese computational processing of the Portuguese language. I didn't mean to steal someone else's words. A forensic linguistic approach to detecting intentional plagiarism 4th International Plagiarism Conference. Forensic linguistics and the delivery of justice the new optimists, scientists' vision of the future. 2011 Twasnmi. Automatic authorship analysis of microblogging messages natural language processing and information systems. Forensic linguistics the Sage Handbook of Sociolinguistics. 2012 Text 4 and 6, Method, Consistency, and Distinctiveness in the Analysis of SMS Text Messages Journal of Law and Policy. To challenge, or not to challenge best practice when interviewing vulnerable suspects Policing, a Journal of Policy and Practice. Whose tweet authorship analysis of microblogs and other short-form messages Proceedings of the International Association of Forensic Linguists 10th Biennial Conference. Communication in Legal Contexts 5th Annual Conference of the International Investigative Interviewing Research Group. 2013 Bridging the Gap Between Stylistic and Cognitive Approaches to Authorship Analysis Using Systemic Functional Linguistics and Multidimensional Analysis The International Journal of Speech, Language, and the Law. 2015 Communication in Investigative and Legal Contexts, Integrated Approaches from Forensic Psychology, Linguistics and Law Enforcement Wiley-Blackwell. Exploring Types and Functions of Questions in Police Interviews Communication in Investigative and Legal Contexts. Vulnerable Individuals, Intermediaries, and Justice Communication in Investigative and Legal Contexts. Recall, Verbatim Memory and Remembered Narratives Communication in Investigative and Legal Contexts. Communication in Forensic Contexts, Future Directions and Conclusions Communication in Investigative and Legal Contexts. Felicitous Consent Speaking of Language and Law, Conversations on the Work of Peter Tyersma. 2016 Assuming Identities Online, Experimental Linguistics Applied to the Policing of Online Pedophile Activity. Applied Linguistics. You have ruined this entire experiment. Shall we stop talking now? Orientations to the experimental setting as an interactional resource. Discourse, context and media. Assuming Identities Online, Experimental Chat Logs UK Data Service. 2017 Online Grooming, Moves and Strategies. Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. Go on cam but dnt be dirty. Linguistic levels of identity assumption in undercover online operations against child sex abusers. Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. Quantitative research methods for linguists, a questions and answers approach for students. Routledge, Scribed in a dog-eat-dog world, KMT, determining the senses of slang terms for the court. Semiotica. 2018 Resources and Constraints in Linguistic Identity Performance, a Theory of Authorship. Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. Do perverted justice chat logs contain examples of overt persuasion and sexual extortion? A research note responding to Chang and Grant. 2017 Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. Native language influence detection for forensic authorship analysis, identifying L1 Persian bloggers. The International Journal of Speech, Language, and the Law. 2019 Deceptive Identity Performance, Offender Moves and Multiple Identities in Online Child Abuse Conversations. Applied Linguistics. The challenges of identifying and classifying child sexual abuse material. Sexual abuse. Pledging to Harm, a linguistic appraisal analysis of judgment comparing realized and non-realized violent fantasies. Discourse and society. Developing a framework for the explanation of interlingual features for native and other language influence detection. Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. 2020 Text Messaging Forensics, Text Forensics, Idiolect-Free Authorship Analysis. The Routledge Handbook of Forensic Linguistics. Language and Online Identities, The Undercover Policing of Internet Sexual Crime. Cambridge University Press. Assuming Identities Online, How Linguistics is Helping the Policing of Online Grooming and the Distribution of Abusive Images. Rethinking Cybercrime, Critical Debates. Text Messaging Forensics Revisited. Routledge Taylor and Francis Group. Recursos y restricos en a manutenco de identidades lingüísticas, uma teoria de autoria perspectivas lingüística forense. 2021 Reply to Response to Vacuous Standards, Subversion of the OSAC Standards Development Process. Forensic Science International, Synergy. Linguistic Authorship Analysis, a Review of Features and Methods report for Project Fisher 2, National Crime Agency. Forums, Manuals, and P2P Networks, How do individuals who have a sexual interest in children engage with online platforms? Report for Project Fisher 2, National Crime Agency. 2022 The Idea of Progress in Forensic Authorship Analysis. Cambridge Elements in Forensic Linguistics. Operation Heron, Latent Topic Changes in an Abusive Letter Series. Corpora. The Starbuck Case, Methods for Addressing Confirmation Bias in Forensic Authorship Analysis. Methodologies and Challenges in Forensic Linguistic Casework. The Aston Forensic Linguistic Databank. Fold Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. Killer Stance, an investigation of the relationship between attitudinal resources and psychological traits in the writings of 4 serial murderers. Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. 2023 Forensic Linguistics. The Routledge Handbook of Applied Linguistics. The Online Behavior of Users of Child Sexual Abuse. Dark Web Fora, a Descriptive Analysis. European Journal of Psychology. Open, Developing a Resource Model of Power and Authority in Anonymous Online Criminal Interactions. Language and Law. Linguagemi Direto. Hierarchies of Power, Identifying Expertise in Anonymous Online Interactions. Advances in Computational Intelligence Systems. UKCI 2023. 2024 Idiolect Reference Module in Social Sciences. Imposters Tending to the Wild, Purposes of Authorship Analysis and a Specific Imposters Method in the Carvaunakist Terrorism Case Language and Law Linguagem e Diritto. This is an extortion note, a rhetorical move analysis of discourse structure and genre in commercial extortion letters language and law linguagem e diritto. Developing a resource model of power and authority in anonymous online criminal interactions language and law linguagem e diritto. 2025 is LIWC reliable, efficient, and effective for the analysis of large online datasets in forensic and security contexts applied corpus linguistics. This is an extortion note, a corpus-driven genre analysis of commercial extortion letters language and law linguagem e diritto. The power of uptake, responses to claims to power on anonymous online foro language and law linguagem e diritto. Imposters tending towards the wild, purposes of authorship analysis and a specific imposters method in the Carvaunakist terrorism case language and law linguagem e diritto. Towards a cognitive forensic stylistics, an intercoder reliability test for replaceable feature finding in the operation hair and corpus language and literature. Towards user-centered design of AI-assisted decision-making in law enforcement AR14 preprint AR14 2504.17393. Crime fiction and missing persons appeals to the public Palgrave Macmillan. Describing, motivating, and appealing, a move analysis of missing persons appeals crime fiction and missing persons appeals to the public. Missing persons appeals and literary studies, a genre fiction analysis crime fiction and missing persons appeals to the public. Implications for practice crime fiction and missing persons appeals to the public. Not fully cited. Assuming identities online, experimental chat logs. And Christoph Credence. 558 Text messaging forensics, text 4 and 6. Idiolect Free Authorship Analysis CFL Aston University. Quantitative Methods in Linguistics Worksheets. List of Tables 7 List of Figures 9 Acknowledgements X Notes on the Contributors 11.